Hello everyone and welcome back to Barney's Backyard. I'm Barney and today I've got another cooking video for you. Now the last video we made was a very traditional dish, long cooking. Today it's the exact opposite. I'm going to prepare a special surprise dish for my wife. So it has to be super fancy, it has to be super tasty, but next to that it also has to be super easy and super fast. So yeah, let's not waste any time. Go! We are preparing a seafood dish consisting of scallops, some prawns, and it's inspired by a lot of the produce that we are currently growing. So we are serving it with a vegetable medley consisting of radishes, baby spring onions, sugar snaps, peas, and some white asparagus. The dish is tied together with a Béarnaise sauce. First up for this dish is we are going to have to prepare our Béarnaise, and for that to be ready, first we have to make some tarragon vinegar.
Now if you're really short on time, you can just skip this step entirely, buy it from the store and jump to 3 minutes 25.
Tarragon is a fresh herb. It has a very distinct flavor and it's crucial for the Béarnaise sauce. So, to make this tarragon vinegar, what we are going to do is we're going to get a pan. We're going to use equal portions of white wine. In our case I have around 3.5 deciliters here. And equal portions of water, which again I have about 3.5 deciliters here. And then half of that amount, so like 1 deciliter, 1.5 deciliter of white wine vinegar. Into those we are going to add some white peppercorns, whole white peppercorns, 1 finely chopped shallot, and a nice bunch of fresh tarragon. That's it, nothing else. And now we are going to slowly cook it, simmer it down until it reduces to about 1/3, half to 1/3. So here we are, and our mix reduced to a little bit under half. What we are going to do now is we are going to sieve it down and we're going to put it into a container. I have already prepared one container here. It's a little jar. Alright, so let's put it in. I have here a colander, and in this colander I have a sieve. Yep, we're gonna plug it up. And there it is. Ready to use for the next few weeks.
Now the mise en place for this dish is relatively simple. We are going to be cooking all the vegetables in the same pot at the same time. So the only thing we have to make sure is we chop them to relatively same size. Peel the asparagus, cut 1 to 2 centimeters off from the bottom, and make long diagonal cuts to slice them into similar size as the sugar snaps. We simply quarter the radishes. And peel and slice the baby spring onions to the same size as the sugar snaps. Don't forget to check your sugar snaps if there's any veins left on them. And yes, with that we are done with the veggies. Preparing our shrimps is also very simple. Just remove the heads, remove the shells, and do not forget to devein the shrimp. Deveining is actually an act of opening a small incision on the back of the shrimp and removing the intestinal cord. Last but not least are our scallops. Now I had my fishmonger remove them from the shell, remove the coral. Now, regardless whether you have your fishmonger do this for you, you buy them kitchen ready, you buy them frozen, or you do it yourself, always check your scallops for this tiny piece of meat on the side attached to it, which is actually responsible for connecting the muscle tissue to the shell. It's a very tough part, much better removed.
So to start up the dish, we're gonna have to prepare our Béarnaise. We have here 3 egg yolks. We're gonna add a tiny little bit of water to that, just a splash. We're gonna add a little bit of the tarragon vinegar. Now you would do yourself a favor if you had a pan that is more rounded on the side. This one is a little bit harder to mix up, but it's also possible to this as long as you watch the heat. If your pan is getting too hot, just remove it from the heat for a second. A strong emulsion is necessary before we add in the butter. You know you're on the right track when you can start seeing the tracks of your whip. We use full butter. We finish off our béarnaise with some freshly chopped tarragon. It's important to add it fresh at the very end of the sauce, so it retains color, it retains texture, it retains freshness. We set our béarnaise aside. Now it's time to get busy. Now for the busy part, we are going to need 2 pans, one for the fish, one for the vegetables. Let's start with the vegetables very fast. We're gonna put up our pan, add some olive oil, and add our asparagus. We add the sugar snapps, and we add the radishes. Tiny bit of salt. Put the lid on, and while this is going, we start with the fish. We add some olive oil in the pan. Medium to high heat. In the meanwhile, we are keeping an eye on our vegetables. As they are slowly starting to cook, we are going to add in all the peas and the baby spring onions. At this point, we're gonna add in some butter together with it. And put the lid back. It's going to saute there. Pan is heating up. Let's go with the scallops. A bit of salt. We are ready to lay them in the pan. Make sure you have enough heat in the pan. If it's not hot enough, better wait a second before you lay all the scallops in. You want to hear the shiz. As the pan gets hot enough, we add all our scallops. Yeah, much more what we want to hear. Absolutely critical to keep the heat going. Our vegetables are ready. You can turn off the heat.
Pro tip, keep your béarnaise next to a heat source so it stays warm, close to 60-70 degrees, and it doesn't split.
The scallops don't need long cooking. What's critical is a very hot pan and short cooking time. Make sure to provide enough time to get a beautiful caramelization on the top, but do not overcook them. Keep the fire on roaring hot. And when your scallops are ready, almost ready, drop in the shrimps. The prawns require also very little cooking. So as soon as they are starting to turn beautiful and golden, turn them around. To finish off the cooking, we are going to add some butter and some fresh lemon juice. Here we go. Can give them a quick baste. Cover them in all the glorious flavors. And we cannot waste no time. It's ready to plate. We're starting with our vegetables. Next up is our seafood. Five of them. And our shrimps. We present the dish with the homemade Béarnaise on the side.
Thick, creamy Béarnaise, covering all of them, looks beautiful, smells wonderful, sweet, scallopsy, tasty.
It's mostly